has got a couple of goals for it. One, I wanted to review with you things that we talked about and get any reaction you had to some of the questions that I asked, if it maybe triggered any ideas or thinking. And then together to plan for the family meeting that will be coming up next.
Okay.
So that's okay?
Sure.
Okay, so first let me ask you if you had any reactions to the questions we went over and any thoughts that came up around them.
Well, I guess I've been paying a little more attention. Remember that when you were asking me about if Joe does this and Joe does that? I've been paying a little more attention to that and trying to figure out which ones he does do, and that probably has made me a little more aware of some things that I just thought, well, that's just old age and that happens, and you're telling me it's more a symptom of, some disease he might have. So
Glad you're working with it that way. That's kind of one of the intentions of it, to make you aware.
Mm-hmm.
And have you been reacting differently at all to any of the things that he does based on this increased awareness?
Oh, I don't know if I'm doing things right or not. When he gets mad at me, then I switch directions. I guess that's all I can really say.
Does he get angry a lot?
Well, sometimes he does, because, well, I know I get short-tempered with him when he's asking me a million times the same old thing, or, when he follows me around the house, drives me nuts. It's like I can't go into the kitchen and cook supper and just have a few minutes to myself. I turn around and there he is.
So far, I've met with the caregiver twice. I've done a very extensive assessment with her, and then we've come and reviewed that assessment and tried to plan together for the family meeting. So I have a lot of information already about how she sees her life and her experience and what she wants from the family meeting. I know a little bit about how her relationship with her children is a little stressed in certain areas. I'm aware that she is very stressed by her caregiving and also by concealing it from her family and from the community. So I'm going to be aware of these tensions in the caregiver and in the family dynamics. She doesn't have a good connection to her son. Her daughter is seen as being very pushy, who lives far away. And so I can see that the caregiver is both interested in what she has to say and afraid to let her get too close in, that she'll be bossy. She has a daughter who lives close by, to whom she has a warmer connection, but there's also dissatisfaction there. So I've seen a lot of red flags have come up for me from my 2 meetings with the caregiver. So I'm getting myself ready to think, where is the best place to go in the session? I also want to work with what she's told me about what she would like to get from the sessions. We've gone through a scale in which I ask her, what are you getting from your family, and what would you hope to be getting from your family? So these are things that we can work towards in the family sessions, that she'd like to have more help from them. She'd like to have more support in terms of taking care of Joe. But she doesn't want them to become too controlling or to get too invasive or too into her business. So I see what her personality is bringing to the situation is she wants help, but she's going to hold it out. She needs people to know, but she's afraid for people to know. So I will be holding all these things that I've learned about her from the assessment and from my interactions with her. And so I'll be keeping in my mind how to help her to negotiate these different potential stressors and problems that she'll be facing. I also know she's not that easy to please. So I'll be watching to see if her expectations are realistic and if she actually welcomes the help that's offered to her, or if she needs to put people off in the interest of maintaining control over her own life. So those are the things that I'll be thinking as I go into the family session. The overriding role is to create a safe environment, and that you essentially hold the safety of all the participants, that you will not let things get out of hand, that you will stop things that seem inappropriate to the setting, that you will intervene if things feel unsafe, and that you will be mindful of the best interests of everybody in the room.
Mabel, you wanted to say something?
Well, I'd like to introduce my family to you.
Oh, how lovely.
This is my son, Joey,
Uh-huh.
and this is my daughter, Nancy, and she's the one that lives here. And then this is my really smart daughter from California,
Uh-huh.
and she's here on a week vacation, so I'm glad you were able to meet with us when she could be here.
Yeah, and they've all come to be here, and do they all know why they're here?
What is the purpose of this?
Well, Joey, when I called you, I wanted you to meet Cynthia because she's been really nice to me. We've talked a lot of things out, and I think she can be of some help to us. So I thought maybe you could join us, and we're just going to talk about Dad and what his future is going to be like and
But
that kind of thing.
Dad is fine. I saw him yesterday. He's fine. I don't understand why you guys are doing this.
You have to stop this denial, Joe. You've got to realize there is something going on with Dad. Something is different. You have to at least admit that much.
Well, he's different, but he's not that bad.
But 5-minute interactions is not enough for you to realize that there's something going on with Dad.
I see him. He looks fine to me.
Well,
When you guys are together, you look fine.
It was just 2 weeks ago when he ran away from you at the mall and you were so upset that you called me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. Joey, did I ever tell you that that happened?
No.
I should have told you that.
He ran away.
He did. He ran away. I lost him and I was petrified because he was out in the parking lot and I couldn't find him anywhere.
No, I think you're talking about something really important, and I can see that some of this is coming as a little bit of a shock to you, even though you might have had some suspicions that things were not totally okay. Is that so? Yeah, maybe a little
Maybe.
something. Right.
And I've told you Dad has dementia, but
He
you
doesn't
don't.
have dementia.
He does have the doctor says he has dementia, but he doesn't have Alzheimer's. I know that. He does not have Alzheimer's.
So that seems really important, that Dad not have Alzheimer's, but it is okay that, could we say about dementia that maybe he has some memory problems? Would that feel true to everybody?
He definitely has memory problems.
How do you know about that?
Well, when I talk to him on the phone, it's obvious, because he'll ask me the same question 5 times in our conversation, as if he'd never heard the answer any of the previous times.
He never does that to you, does he, Nancy?
All the time, Mom. All
Really?
the time. Yep.
I know sometimes he'll ask me the same things, but it's not very often. And I mean, gosh, we're getting old.
That just happens, doesn't it, when you get a little older? I mean, my memory isn't what it used to be. What's the big deal?
We just had a conversation the other day about his work, where he worked for 25 years, and he couldn't remember his boss's name that I ran into at the bakery. Could not remember anything about him, that he was even his boss.
Wow.
That's not a memory issue. I mean, not a memory, just
A normal
old
memory,
age
right.
memory thing. That's something that is profound.
Well,
Go ahead. Nick.
how do we figure out what's going on with Dad?
Well, how did you figure out he had dementia?
Well, Dr. Nemo, I mean, we see him every couple years, and he said Dad has dementia. And when I asked if that was Alzheimer's, he says, no, he's not progressed to Alzheimer's yet.
Wow, it's hard to know just what the doctor meant by that, you know? And it's a little confusing just what he was telling you. So he was giving you some information, but not a whole lot of information, right?
I want to say, because I came all the way out here from California for this, and there's really nothing that we can do for Dad anyway, is there? I thought we came here to help our mother. So I think we should stop talking so much about the degree of Dad's memory loss and what exactly is going on with him, and talk more about what's happening with you, Mom, because I'm very concerned when I call at home.
You don't have to worry about me. We've been getting along pretty well.
I can see that you don't dress up as finely as you used to. You don't wear the jewelry you used to wear all the time.
I don't go anyplace. Why should I put any jewelry on?
That was such a big part of you.
When's the last time you played bridge with your girlfriends?
So long ago, I can't even remember how to play anymore.
Dad needs to be cared for.
Yeah, that's my job. I am, you know what? You are right, Joey. I've been married to your dad for 40 years. And I am the one that needs to be there. And he doesn't like it when other people come.
So he doesn't like when I come and visit him?
No, I don't mean he likes it when you kids come. But, you know, if I would think about having somebody else come and stay with him, he wouldn't like that a bit.
You know what I hear? It's one thing is how is Dad doing, and it's one thing is how is Mom doing, and you're actually all thinking about how are your parents doing, and what do they need, and that you're all here because you care about how your parents are doing. Do you notice that, Mabel?
I guess they wouldn't be here if they didn't care.
Right.
You know, but they don't come often enough. Joey lives right here and he never comes over.
Well, I see you guys around town.
Yeah. You know, it'd be really nice if you'd just come over and take Dad for a ride. He would love to go on a ride.
Well, he
And
was
you
mad
never
at
do
me
that.
last time I did that, so I haven't done that for a while. Last time I took him for a ride, he yelled at me about the bank. Not going to do that again.
Wow.
Well,
know?
you have to remember Dad has some memory problems. You have a brain. He doesn't.
Wow, so you were really shocked by what Mom said, weren't you?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
You just don't lose your brain.
Uh-huh. What do you think she meant by that?
He has some memory issues, I hope. His brain's still there. He can
Yeah.
still...
His brain is still there, but you know, he can't follow directions at all. You know, I tell him to go mow the lawn. He doesn't even know where the lawnmower is kept anymore. I haven't told you guys this because I didn't want you to worry about him.
Who's been mowing the lawn?
Well, if my neighbor doesn't get to it quick enough, I go out and do it a little bit.
You know, with your heart problems, you're not supposed to be exerting yourself like that.
Well,
These are
somebody's
exactly
gotta
the
do
things that I'm
it.
worried about.
Is it really that bad? Have things gotten this bad? He doesn't know where the lawnmower is? Really?
He really doesn't know where the
Oh,
lawnmower is.
Mom.
Yeah.
Wow, I can see this is really kind of really upsetting for you. He's your dad. Yeah. And you're his only son. Are you named for him?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is really a new way of looking at Dad, isn't it?
Well, it is.
I know.
Mom, you said that I don't come over enough and help you out, but I have to call you before I come over to make sure it's okay every time.
I know.
I could drop by
I don't
every day, but you would be like, what are you doing over here again?
I know.
And then when I call you, what do you want?
I know.
So don't complain on one end and not, you have to ask. If you want me over, I'll come over every day.
Well, I always wanted to call and ask first because I want to make sure Dad's presentable. I want to make sure he's got on a clean shirt. I want to make sure that he has shaved and so that he looks good when you come.
It's okay. Are my kids presentable every time you see them? No. So it's okay. He's my dad. I'm going to accept him no matter what.
Wow.
So if I call you, you'll come over.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question? You're the expert. I am getting a big headache over all of this, and I really don't want to be here. And I don't know what to do. Yes, it's my dad, but I have a really bad headache.
I understand that. And I'm glad that you're here and you're letting us know how this feels for you and that you're really touched and really moved by what's happening with your dad. What do you think would help your headache?
I don't know, to leave.
You mean if you could leave and get away from this and didn't have to really know that something was going on?
No, just if I could leave this meeting with my sisters and my mom right now and just not be here.
Well, it's an option. I would.
Not saying I'm going to do it, I'm just saying.
Well, I appreciate how hard it is for you to stay here and that you're still doing it. That says something about how much you care about your family and that it's not easy for you to be here. I think you guys are seeing that your brother can show up, and yet it takes a toll on him.
I simply see him running away from the issue once again and not supplying any support for Mom.
Joe,
That's what I
you
see.
never do anything to help Mom or Dad.
At least I'm here. I see them sometimes. I'm not in California.
I talk
I'm
to
here.
Mom more than you do from California.
You know what? I'm betting this isn't the first time you guys have had a conversation that looked something like this. Maybe it wasn't about Dad. Maybe it was about something else that needed to happen. So I'm guessing that there's some old stuff. You know, siblings always have stuff from the past. You know, it looks like one is getting away with something and one moves away and the others have some resentment about that. That's so understandable and just so human for all of you. So we have a lot of stuff in here that's familiar. But we have something else that's really not. Something that's really new. And that's, if you want to call it dementia, if you want to call it Alzheimer's, if you want to call it memory loss, we have a change in a very important person in your family, and it's affecting all of you. This is kind of a time when we might be able to make some new choices about how we want to be together. What do you think about that?
I just want everybody to step up.
I wish I could step up more, but I feel like there's so little that I can do from California. I wish I could be here to do more, but I don't know what I could possibly do from there.
I think you do a lot more than you think you do.
So are you kind of targeting somebody? Do you have something you really need to tell Joe?
Joe, I need to go get my kids. I gotta go. It's 3:30. I gotta go. I just want Joe to step up. I just want Joe. He lives 10 miles away. Joe works in town. Joe needs to call. Joe needs to stop in. Joe needs to call us every once in a while and just kind of catch up. What's going on? I'm not asking you to do it every day, Joe. I'm just asking once in a while.
Joe, what's your reaction to that?
I'm a little upset about it, but it's something I can do for Dad. Not for you, but for Dad. I can check in and I can see Mom more, but
Not because she asked you.
not because she asked me.
I hear that. So I get there's some unfinished business here. You guys have very different ways of being in the world and very different approaches, and you don't always strike each other in the most comfortable way. But you know what's interesting? You asked and Joe heard you. So can you notice that?
Yep.
And stop complaining about me.
Stop.
I was quite surprised by the session. I was relieved to know that my kids would help me out. And I was a little bit afraid that they were going to argue and that they would storm out of the session. So I think it was a real relief to me just to know and that I had the support of them and the cooperation of them to help me out. I think when it's one-on-one, I've never wanted to push it or ask. But when they're all there together, where I don't feel like I am picking a favorite or putting the load on one person, I can see it distributed better, and that just makes me feel better about it. I think it was really helpful for me to have a person there who knew more about all these issues than I do. I mean, I'm just the caregiver, and to know that there's a person there who understands my position was very helpful. I think if I would have tried to talk to my family over dinner by myself, I wouldn't know how to handle the anger or how to handle some of the frustration, you know, between my son and daughter. So being able to do this in a, I guess I'd call it a prescribed setting, where we had a purpose for coming together and we had a goal to meet, kind of put the pressure on me to take advantage of it, and that I needed to speak up because now was my chance.
This was very hard for me. I had no idea what to expect from my brother. My sister and I talked about it quite a bit before the session, and we just really didn't know if we were going to be able to rely on Joe at all. He hasn't been very reliable in the past, but it was really very refreshing to see that he would come to the session, which we'd had our doubts in the first place, but then he was even open to doing things, which was a complete shock. So I have to say a weight has been lifted from my shoulders after this conversation.